LP government and now the UPP have incurred arrears on the debts. The number of external loans that we did not pay, but they're not paying them either, Madam Speaker. We have a number of domestic suppliers in this country who the Labour Party did not pay, but they're not paying them either, Madam Speaker. So the point I'm making here, that there is some similarities in the policies of the two governments. So at the end of the day, it is not about condemnation. It is about policy choices. For instance, Madam Speaker, the LP embarked on a strategy of medium borrowings, and I say medium, deficit borrowings, based on our deficit spending, based on the kind of deficits that have been incurred now. Those can be considered large, and under the Anti-Labour Party, medium. So the Labour Party's strategy was medium deficit spending and low taxes. Today, Madam Speaker, you are getting high deficit spending and high taxes. And to add insult to injury, you're getting less value for money. Mr. Prime Minister, member for Rural West, I know that you promised the nation a reshuffle. Perhaps it's very timely that you give serious consideration for the new year. Madam Speaker, what I can say here, notwithstanding the similarities between the two governments in terms of their borrowings and their spending policies, there's absolutely no doubt that the borrowing policy and the ALP's spending policy, Madam Speaker, was far more optimal than that of the UPP government. And you know, they brag about write-offs. The reality is, the write-offs that have taken place, the Italian loan and DEFCON, it is the Anti-Labour Party that created those opportunities. They were always on the table. And by the way, Madam Speaker, in 2002, I was invited by the Italian government as part of a regional forum, and I had a minister, I had a number of ministers, two ministers, who approached me about the debt. And when we discussed it, they indicated to me that they were willing to write it off, but recommended a program with the IMF. I made further inquiries, Madam Speaker, and when I reported to the then Prime Minister that the IMF was only going to offer us $18 million in support, the Prime Minister told me, get out of here. So the point I'm making here, Madam Speaker, that debt, the Italian loan, was written off at least a decade ago. It wasn't on their books. But a new government came in, and they saw the opportunity to at least recover 10 cents in the dollar. So they went to the Minister for Rural East, the member for Rural East, the Minister of Finance, and probably others in the UPP government, and said to them, look, gentlemen, Labour Party didn't pay us, we'll write it off for 10 cents in the dollar. The reality is, they would not have tried that if we were in government. And let me say this too, Madam Speaker. Developed countries in this world have an obligation to assist developing countries. In fact, Madam Speaker, they are required to contribute up to 0.7% of the GNP to assist developing countries. You look in this estimate and tell me how much aid we're getting. For some countries, Madam Speaker, up to 50% of their budgetary allocations, of their revenues, are in the form of aid, Madam Speaker. So if a developed country have to write off a debt for us, and all wrong with that, you all make it sound as though we have sinned. In fact, it is an opportunity that has been created for the nation, because at the end of the day, those funds were utilized to build our productive capacity. Royal Antiguan, Heritage Key, Madam Speaker. Those debts created that type of infrastructure to support growth and development in this country. So your condemnation of the Antigua Labour Party is unwarranted. When you look at the DEFCON thing, Madam Speaker, and when the member for St. Peter speaks, he can confirm that that was on the table in 2004 under the Antigua Labour Party. But we rejected it for a number of reasons, which I will not get into here, Madam Speaker. But moving right along, I want to now move to the issue. In fact, I hope I would have proven conclusively that when it comes to borrowings, you have absolutely no basis. You have no authority, no moral authority or otherwise, to condemn the Antigua Labour Party from henceforth. Because your borrowing rate would have been far higher than that of the Antigua Labour Party. And if strategically we